Members of council, if you can please take your seats. This meeting is now resumed. Before the recess, council was considering item EX 33.3 on the development charges bylaw. We will return to that item following the release of member holds and the run-through of member motions. I will now take the release of member holds. Councillor Fletcher.
Speaker, just before I release some items, I'm wondering if I can ask council permission to circulate an urgent notice of motion regarding plaques in the Carla Dundas area that you've seen.
Well, we're going to do that after the releases.
After? Okay. Yeah. Then I'm going to release on page 7, TE 31.33, application to remove a private tree, 118 Withrow Avenue, and I'd like to ask for a recorded vote on that, please.
Okay, on page 70, 31.33, Councillor Fletcher is releasing. Recorded vote.
Councillor Perks, please. Councillor Davis and Councillor DiGiorgio. Councillor Perruzza.
No, I just closed it. The item is adopted 36-3.
Speaker, on TE 31.32, I'd like to refer that back to Community Council, please.
Okay, on page 70, 3132, Councillor Fletcher is moving to refer back to Community Council. On favor? Carried.
31.8 and 16 sometime later this afternoon, just to let as soon as I hear from planning staff, I'll be able to do that, Speaker.
Thank you. Councillor Shan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm going to be releasing CD 27.2.
I'm sorry, what page?
Page 5.
Page 5, yes.
CD 27.2, Toronto Fire Services Diversity and Recruitment Update, Operations Firefighter Recruit Class 2017-2022, I'm assuming.
Okay,
and it's on page 5.
Okay, on page 5, CD 27.2, Councillor Shan is releasing.
I have talked to the staff and fire chief, and I'll release that now.
Okay, on favor? Recorded.
Councillor Thompson, please. Councillor Perruzza.
Councillor Mihevc and Councillor Grimes, please. Sure.
The item is adopted unanimously, 41 in favor.
Councillor Shan.
Madam Speaker, on page 5, LS 24.5, Graffiti Management Plans, Street Art, Toronto 2018 Partnership Program recommendations. I'm prepared to release that as well. Graffiti one.
Okay, now, hold on. I don't think...
I've talked to Councillor Palacio as well. He's told me I can release that as well. So, but if you want to hold it.
Okay, just one sec. On page 5, you want to release OS 24.5, which is the graffiti plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Councillor Palacio, I was told...
So I've emailed him and he's gotten back to me saying that it's okay for me to release it. Yeah.
So just to confirm that, Councillor Palacio's office did inform me that he won't be able to be in today, and that he's okay to release the items. Okay, on page 5, LS 24.5, Councillor Shan is releasing. Recorded vote.
Councillor Wong Tam, please. Councillor Fletcher?
The item carries unanimously, 41 in favor.
Councillor Shan?
Madam Speaker, on page 6, SC 29.9, Scarborough Centre Public Art Master Plan Consultants Report, what 3738, I have a motion that I've talked to Councillor Glenn DeBaymaker as well, if I can have that online.
Okay, it will continue to be held.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Holliday?
Thank you, Speaker. On the top of page 8, TE 31.106, 2018 Bum Run Event. I have a amendment additional for a report. If that could be placed, just give folks a second to give that a read.
Okay, that's on page 8, top of the page, T 31.106. The amendment's on the screen. Hold it. Continue to hold it. Okay?
Got it. Thank you.
Councillor McMahon?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. So this was held, it's PE, it's page 5, PE 26.5, the criteria for fuel and biodiesel for the City of Toronto, and it was held by Councillor DiCiano, who's not here today, but we've been working together with staff to just add a little tweak that will accelerate our plan to green our fleet more. So there's a motion.
Yeah, so do we, have you spoken to him? Is he okay for you to release?
He's okay. He was just going to release it to me. He's not going to be here today, and he's fine with it, and staff know. Everyone knows he's fine.
All right.
And I work well with others.
He had a plan on vacation.
Okay, so
Usually.
on page 5P 26.5,
So for the Parks and Environment Committee, this has been a long haul. We've been back and forth, and everyone's been involved. So Councillor Layton, Councillor Matlow, Councillor Mary, and Doucette. It's accelerating, just accelerating it. A little more tweaking that we wanted. Sorry? Yeah. Sorry. It's an amendment to staff that there is. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I have, wait.
Advanced circular.
so is everyone okay with this,
Okay.
or you want to?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Okay, let me sign it, and then we will come back.
Okay. Councillor Shiner?
No.
So,
No.
Madam,
It's just a lot of words. You want to see it.
Madam Speaker, on page 8, under new business, I had held CC 39.9, request for direction of local planning appeal tribunals appeals of official plan amendment 2 through 1 on land use compatibility and mitigation issues. There's been a supplementary report from staff that has been circulated. There's a motion that I have to adopt the supplementary report and the recommendations. I would move that with pleasure, and if I have 30 seconds, I would really like to thank our Chief Planner and Carrie Voumvakis in the Planning Department, because they've been able to work, and although I can't talk about the substance, with BUILD, the industry group, and major employers, and with a number of others that had concerns, and been able to work out the recommendations here which they strongly support, and settles the issue, and takes us from 3 weeks of hearings to 1 day to put forward the settlement. And the fact that Mr. Lynch and his group has been able to work with the industry folks and those, it's a real change I'm seeing that these things are starting to happen, and we're getting resolutions instead of long fights at the board. I just wanted to thank staff on behalf of all of us for their hard work on this.
Okay, on page 8, CC 39.9, Councillor Shiner is releasing. 39.9. Yes, the supplementary report as well. All in favor? Recorded vote.
Councillor Davis, please. Councillor Wong Tam.
Councillor Fragedakis, please.
The item is adopted unanimously, 42 in favor.
Thank you. Councillor Davis.
Councillor Shiner, it would have been good to read that. Thank you, Speaker. On page 4, EX 33.14, 2018 capital budget adjustments for carry forward funding. I'd like to release that.
Page 4, EX 33.14, Councillor Davis is releasing. On favor? Carried.
And on page 8, oh, sorry.
Page 8, yes?
No, it's not. It's page 7.
Page 7.
TE 31.82, parking amendments for Main Street. There are some recommendations that correct technical errors in the report that staff could post. I'd like to move those amendments.
Okay, hold on. Okay, the amendments.
It's right here, TE 31.82.
Yes, it's on the screen.
Right.
Are we okay with it? Sorry, Councillor Davis. Pardon? So, okay. All right, a recorded vote. This is on page 70, 31.82. It's here without a recommendation, and Councillor Davis is moving.
Councillor Karygiannis, please. Councillor Perruzza. Councillor Wong Tam.
Councillor Cressy, please. Councillor Grimes.
The item carries unanimously, 42 in favor.
Councillor Karygiannis.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I'd like to release item
S24.2, and I do have two,
What page, please?
page 5, and it's work plan for review of Chapter 545, licensing body rub parlors and holistic centers, and I do have two motions that I'd like to put up.
Hold
I'll
on.
hold it. I'll keep holding
There's
it.
a lot of holds.
I'll keep holding it.
Councillor Filion?
Thank you. Page 8, item number CC 3911, that City Council refer item CC 3911 to the North York Community Council for consideration at its June 6, 2018 meeting and request the city solicitor to report to the North York Community Council on this matter.
Great motion.
Okay, we want to hold it.
Who's holding it?
Michael Thompson.
Councillor Matlow?
Madam Speaker, it's on, I'm going to release with an amendment, page 7, T 31.14, 1925 to 1951 Young Street, 1721 Millwood Road, and 22 Davisville Avenue, with really a small amendment that was requested by our local school trustee, Shelley Laskin, along with the chair of the TDSB, Robin Pilkey, and you'll see before you a letter from Robin Pilkey. And this simply just revises, if you could put it on the screen. You don't have it? You should have it. I'm just...
Okay, the staff doesn't have that motion ready, so
then
we
we'll do
can
it later.
continue holding?
Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Karygiannis.
Madam Chair, I wanted to introduce a motion with urgency, and the reason is that there is a need to study the land uses of this area to ensure compatibility with future transit plans and operations along the Stouffville Rail Corridor. And
Okay. All in favor of introducing? Recorded vote.
What's the urgency with the Stouffville Rail Corridor that has to happen this month?
this is coming.
Fine with the motion that I give you?
Yeah, give it to Mayor.
Councillor Perruzza.
Councillor Mihevc, please. Councillor Filion, please. Councillor Grimes, please.
Councillor Filion, please. We need your vote.
The motion to introduce carries 35 to 6.
Councillor Cressy.
Thank you, Speaker. I have one item to introduce. It's an AGCO matter, and it is urgent because the deadline to file an application is imminent.
Okay, in favor? Carried. Councillor Fletcher.
Oh, yes.
Your motion.
Asking council permission to introduce this urgent motion so we can spend some money on a Heritage Plaque District. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. That's it. Councillor Kelly.
Well, Speaker, I don't have the information immediately in front of me, but let me take a quick look. My apologies.
It's on the screen.
Well, if I may be permitted to read it sitting down, that Councillor Norm Kelly be permitted to add to the agenda of today's meeting an urgent motion without notice concerning the appointment of a public member to the French Language Advisory Committee. This motion is urgent as it's necessary to make these appointments to ensure the committee can continue to carry out its mandate for the remainder of the term and to ensure quorum is met. Madame l'orateur.
On favor? Carried. Who? Councillor Thompson.
Yes. Can't see. I don't have one. Yeah. So I'm actually going to withdraw this one, Madam.
So we'll just vote against it?
I'll just
You want to
withdraw
withdraw
that.
it?
Yeah, please. For now, the staff are actually helping me to work on
Oh, okay.
motions.
So we don't have to
we don't
withdraw
need to
because it
flip the
hasn't
board.
been
That's fine.
introduced. All right. That's it? All right, so we'll go to the members' motions now. MM 39.1. Notice if this motion has been given. Pardon? Right, Councillor Ainslie withdrew it. Okay, MM 39.2. Notice if this motion has been given, this motion is subject to referral to the Executive Committee. A 2/3 vote is required to waive referral. All in favor of waiving referral? Recorded vote.
Councillor Perruzza, please. Councillor Shiner. Councillor Perks, please. Thank you. Councillor Bailão, please.
Councillor Crisanti, please.
Okay. Councillor Karagianis, please.
The motion does not carry. The vote is 25 to 15. The required 2/3 majority was not achieved. Sorry, 26-15.
MM 39.3. Notice if this motion has been given. This motion is subject to reopening of item MM 38.33. A 2/3 vote is required to reopen that item. If reopened, the previous council decision remains in force unless council decides otherwise. All in favor of reopening? Is everyone okay with this? All in favor? Carried? Okay. On the item? Hold. Okay, Councillor Perks would like to hold the item down. MM 39.4. Notice if this motion has been given, this motion is subject to referral to the Etobicoke York Community Council. A 2/3 vote is required to waive referral. All in favor of waiving referral? Carried. On the item, all in favor? Carried. MM 39.5. Notice if this motion has been given. This motion is subject to referral to the Parks and Environment Committee. A two-thirds vote is required to waive referral. All in favor of waiving referral? Carried. On the item, all in favor? Carried. MM 39.6. Notice if this motion has been given. This motion is subject to referral to the Licensing and Standards Committee. A two-thirds vote is required to waive referral. Recorded vote to waive referral.
Councillor Perruzza, please. Councillor Wong-Tam, Councillor Layton, Councillor Kelly, and Councillor Karygiannis, please.
Councillor Holland, please.
The motion to waive referral carries 34-7.
On the item, all in favor? Recorded vote.
Councillor Layton, Councillor Wong-Tam, Councillor McMahon.
Councillor DeBearmaker, please. Councillor Fillion. Councillor Burnside. Councillor Fletcher. Councillor Mammoliti, please. Councillor Burnside.
The item is adopted 39-2.
MM 39.7. Notice if this motion has been given. This motion is subject to referral to the Toronto and East York Community Council. A two-thirds vote is required to waive referral. All in favor of waiving referral? Recorded vote.
Councillor Perruzza, please. Councillor DeGiorgio. Councillor Karygiannis, please.
Councillor Ainsley, please. Councillor Mihevc. Councillor Crisanti, thank you. Councillor Crawford, thanks.
Councillor Karygiannis, please.
The motion to waive referral carries 32-9.
Okay, on the item? Recorded. Oh, Councillor Campbell wants to hold. MM 39.8. Notice if this motion has been given, this motion is subject to referral to the Executive Committee. A two-thirds vote is required to waive referral. All in favor of waiving referral? Carried. On the item, all in favor? Carried. MM 39.9. If I can ask members of council to please try to keep it down. I can't, it's too much noise. Like, there really is too much noise, and it's hard for me to be reading and, you know, like. Okay, Counselor Matlow, please take your seat, please. MM 39.9. Notice if this motion has been given. This motion is subject to referral to the North York Community Council. A two-thirds vote is required to waive referral. This motion relates to a Toronto local appeal body hearing and has been deemed urgent. All in favor of waiving referral? Carried. On the item, all in favor? Carried. MM 39.10. Notice if this motion has been given. This motion is subject to referral to the North York Community Council. A two-thirds vote is required to waive referral. This motion relates to a Toronto local appeal body hearing and has been deemed urgent. All in favor of waiving referral? Carried. On the item, all in favor? Who said recorded? Okay, recorded vote.
Councillor Karygiannis, please. Councillor Bailão. Councillor Perruzza, please.
Councillor Crisanti, please.
The item is adopted 39-1.
Okay. Third, MM 3911. Notice if this motion has been given. This motion is subject to referral to the Community Development and Recreation Committee. A two-thirds vote is required to waive referral. All in favor of waiving referral? Carried. On the item, all in favor? Carried. You want a recorded vote? Okay, recorded vote on the item.
Councillor McMahon, please. Councillor DeGiorgio, Councillor Perruzza, Councillor Karygiannis, and Councillor Ajamari, please.
Councillor Crisanti, please, and Councillor Robinson.
The item is adopted unanimously, 40 in favor.
MM 3912. Notice if this motion has been given. This motion is subject to referral to the Government Management Committee. A two-thirds vote is required to waive referral. All in favor of waiving referral? Carried.
You should take recorded votes because Councillor Wong-Tam has an interest on this.
Pardon?
You should take a recorded vote because Councillor Wong-Tam has an interest and she's left the chamber.
Okay, so on the item, recorded vote.
Councillor McMahon, please. Councillor Perruzza, Councillor Davis, Councillor Karygiannis, and Councillor Bailão, please.
Councillor Cressy and Councillor Robinson, please.
The item is adopted unanimously, 39 in favor.
MM 39.13. Notice if this motion has been given. This motion is subject to referral to the Executive Committee. A two-thirds vote is required to waive referral. Okay, a recorded vote to waive referral.
Councillor Thompson, please. Councillor Perruzza.
Councillor Holland, please.
The motion to waive referral carries 32-8.
On the item? Pardon? Recorded vote on the item.
Councillor Mihevc, when you're seated, please. Councillor Pillion. Councillor Crawford, please.
Councillor Lee, please.
The item is adopted 34-6.
MM 39.14. Notice of this motion has been given. This motion is subject to referral to the Executive Committee. A two-thirds vote is required to waive referral. Recorded vote.
Councillor Perruzza, please.
The motion to waive referral does not carry. The vote is 13-28.
MM 39.14. 15, sorry. MM 3915. Notice that this motion has not been given. A two-thirds vote is required to waive notice. This motion is subject to referral to the Public Works and Infrastructure Committee. A two-thirds vote is required to waive referral. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. All in favor of waiving notice? Recorded vote. We're voting on to waive notice. Okay, Councillor. Okay, hold on. No, please, quiet. Councillor Holland, yes?
Sorry, we just had to get clarification. So if you vote to waive referral,
we're voting notice first.
I know. Could you just clarify that, because there's been some confusion?
We're voting to waive notice. It's highlighted on the screen. Can we put the motion back on the screen?
I know.
To waive notice.
I think I got mine.
It seems that others may not understand.
Wait, what do we?
Councillor Davis and Councillor Perruzza, please. Councillor Perruzza, please.
Now I can't see whether it's two-thirds. Okay. The motion to waive notice carries 28-13.
Okay, first First, we have to move to waive referral. No, that was notice. All in favor of waiving referral, recorded vote. No?
Councillor Matlow and Councillor Davis, please.
Councillor Mihevc, please.
The motion to waive referral does not carry. The vote is 9 to 32.
Point of order, Councillor Fletcher.
I just wanted to say quickly that with that incredible sleet storm and everything that we had, that I thought that the emergency response from all divisions, including Hydro, was outstanding. The councillor liaison function was incredible compared to what we had in the last hydro storm. So I wouldn't want anybody on staff to think that we didn't think they were doing a good job, Speaker, by not dealing with this here.
Councillor Fletcher. MM 39.16. Notice if this motion has not been given, a two-thirds vote is required to waive notice. This motion is subject to referral to the Toronto and East York Community Council. A two-thirds vote is required to waive referral. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. All in favor of waiving notice? I guess I'm the only one that's saying yes. Okay. All in favor of waiving referral? On the item, all in favor? Carried. MM 3917. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. This motion is not subject to a vote to waive referral. This motion has been added to the agendas before council for debate. All in favor? Carried. MM 3918. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. This motion is not subject to a vote to waive referral. This motion has been added to the agendas before council for debate. Okay. Okay, are we ready? Okay, all in favor? Carried. MM 39.19. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. This motion is not subject to a vote to waive referral. This motion has been added to the agenda and is before council for debate. Recorded vote.
Councillor Shiner, please. Councillor Perruzza.
Councillor Mihevc, please. Councillor Grimes.
The item carries 38 to 3.
MM 39.21. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. Oh, did I skip? MM 39.20, sorry. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. This motion is not subject to a vote to waive referral. This motion been added to the agenda is before council for debate. All in favor? Carried. MM 39.21. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. This motion is not subject to a vote to waive referral. This motion been added to the agenda is before council for debate. All in favor? Recorded.
Councillor Perruzza, please. Councillor Layton.
Councillor De Beermaker, please.
Councillor Karygiannis.
The item is adopted unanimously, 40 in favor.
MM 39.22. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. This motion is not subject to a vote to waive referral. This motion been added to the agenda is before council for debate. All in favor of the item? Carried. MM 39.23. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. This motion is not subject to a vote to waive referral. This motion has been added to the agenda before council for debate. All in favor of the item? Carried. MM 39.24. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. This motion is not subject to a vote to waive referral. This motion has been added to the agenda before council for debate. Okay, Councillor De Beermaker would like to hold. MM 39.25. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. This motion is not subject to a vote to waive referral. This motion has been added to the agenda before council for debate. All in favor of the item? Carried. MM 39.26. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. This motion is not subject to a vote to waive referral. This motion has been added to the agenda before council for debate. Okay. Recorded vote.
Councillor Perruzza, please. Councillor Wong-Tam. Councillor Mallow, Councillor Davis, Councillor Shan.
Councillor Fletcher.
And Councillor Kelly. Councillor Kelly, please.
Councillor Fletcher, please.
The item is adopted unanimously, 39 in favor.
Okay, MM 39.27. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. This motion is not subject to vote to waive referral. This motion has been added to the agendas before council for debate. All in favor of the item? Carried. MM 39.28. This motion has been deemed urgent by the chair. This motion is not subject to a vote to waive referral. This motion has been added to the agendas before council for debate. On the item, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Yeah. So we will now, Councillor Perks?
Just on a point of order, while we were going through, I held MM 39.3 because I hadn't looked at it. I've looked at it. I can release it now.
Okay, Councillor Perks held down MM 39.3, and he's releasing. On favor? Recorded vote.
Councillor McMahon, Councillor Wong-Tam, please, Councillor Davis, Councillor Thompson.
Councillor Mammoliti, please.
The item is adopted unanimously, 40 in favor.
Okay, we'll now go back to EX 33.3, the development charges bylaw. If we can put the speakers list on the screen. Now, before lunch, Councillor Mammoliti had moved a motion, and Councillor Wong-Tam, you had your name up there to question, correct? Well, it was, so you took it off then. You took it off, okay. Councillor, you're up to speak.
You know what, you can...
Okay, Councillor Matlow does not want to speak anymore. So, Councillor Kelly, you're up.
Councillor Perks in his remarks was absolutely correct.
Okay.
Which where?
Do we have any more speakers on the development charges? Okay, Councillor Bala?
Yep. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to move the supplementary report and thank staff because I think there was a lot of good work done between executive and council to address, I think, some of the issues that were brought to our attention and that we had a conversation at executive, which were mainly around affordable housing. So the amount that is now direction to affordable housing had an increase of 270%. Obviously, because it was so small that now that we increased it, it brings up this this big number, and I think it reflects the great need that we have in this file in the city of Toronto. The other issues that have been addressed with this supplementary report is actually the impact on the rental market and how we're going to have a rental program very much resembling the one that the and I wouldn't say resembling, maybe. Completing the one that the province just launched and making sure that we continue to have rental being built in our city. The other one was something that the affordable housing ownership nonprofit organizations have been advocating for a long, long time, which was actually a deferral program for nonprofits that produce affordable home ownership, and that's what we also have in front of us. And last but not least, it was to ensure that the policy of creating laneway suites actually come in accordance with the secondary suite. So we're not reinventing the wheel. What we currently have as any secondary suite would apply to a laneway suite that is not up for severance or anything else. So I'm glad and thankful to the staff, to the work that was done, the many meetings that they had with all these different stakeholders, and to bring forward something that I think is much more in keeping with the policy that we're having in particularly, and where we're going in particular around housing. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mihevc.
My apologies, and I'm looking at staff. I have a motion that I'd like to move, but it might not be. I missed the debate before lunch. My apologies. It's on asking the provincial government to amend the development charges bylaw to include education development charges. Is that already in the report, or so that the school boards can also charge development charges? I'm not sure who I'm looking at here. I just need a nod. I'm going to move it unless I get a nod saying not necessary.
Councillor Mihevc, we're at speakers right now.
I know that, and I explained that I wasn't here. I had another
No,
meeting.
I know, so...
So I'm going to move this motion, and I might withdraw it, but I'm going to move it for now. Okay, I have a motion that I'll...
Councillor Mihevc, the staff do not have your motion.
Giving it to them right. I'm giving it to them right now.
No, I know. Councillor Mihevc, you can't just move a motion and hand it to the staff when you're speaking. It has to be given to staff. So, we hold the item down? Do we hold the item down? Okay. Do we have any more speakers on this item? Councillor Robinson and Councillor Mihevc, bring your motion over to staff. Okay, Councillor Robinson to speak.
This is development charges, correct? Because it's kind of confusing. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I wanted to say on this, and I spoke on this in executive, is that when I go to public meetings, all I hear about from constituents is, are developers paying enough? Because there is a lack of infrastructure in the city. We all know that. We also know we have a serious backlog in our capital infrastructure budgets, and my residents are always bringing up the fact that I mean, I guess my ward's a bit of a target for development, certainly the Young Eglinton area as well as Bayview Avenue, but throughout my ward there's non-stop development. And in fact, this morning I got an email from a resident talking about this very issue. So I think we need to do as much as we can on this front to ensure that there's compensation for the impacts on our local neighborhoods, and I'll leave it at that. Motion.
There's way too much noise in here. Please try to keep it down. Councillor DeGiorgio.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, from the inception of the Development Charges Act, my interpretation of a development charge has been somewhat different from the spin that's put on a development charge for payment of future growth. The reality is, I believe that someone that is given a development charge to pay when they move into a city or they move into an area, it is really a form of prepayment of property taxes. It is basically, there are people that have been living here and they've been paying property taxes for a long time, and you should you should absorb some of that burden, and that burden is going to be encapsulated in something called a development charge. And once you pay that development charge and pick up your share of the infrastructure that's in place, even though you didn't live here, from now on, you're going to be charged property taxes like everybody else. But you'll have a one-time charge called the development charge as well. And so a development charge is a buy-in fee. And the question is, what is a reasonable number to buy in to living in a neighborhood where people have been paying property taxes for a long time? And the province says roughly about 60% of the total cost, you, the new incoming buyer, of all the future costs attached to your moving in, 60% of it should be absorbed by you in the form of a prepayment of property taxes. That is a development charge by definition. That's really what it is. Any other spin misses the point. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Councillor Shiner to speak.
Sorry, so
Councillor Shiner?
I am. We seem to have a lot going on here, Madam Speaker. Were we waiting for something else, first of all, before we voted?
Councillor Mihevic's motion. So do you want to speak?
Sure, I will if we have some order in the chamber.
Did you want to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
But I said if we have some order in the chamber.
Oh, sorry. If I can have members of council please take your seats. And if we can have some order. Councillor Fragadakis? Okay, Councillor Shiner.
Hey, Madam Speaker, I rise because I wish to speak on two perspectives. One is the fact that we're raising development charges to try and pay for the infrastructure that's required within the city. But at the end of the day, the only person that pays for that infrastructure is the buyer of the home, and raising development charges makes it more difficult for people to afford their houses. And it's unfortunate because that impact is there. And I continue to stress concern about that because of the inability for people to afford houses in the City of Toronto. It keeps getting worse. But the bright side of this still is the fact that my colleagues should know, and they might be aware, that the industry itself who appealed our last development charges bylaw under Build, the industry group and others have come in, have worked with our staff and the Mayor's office, have worked through the issues that are there, and are actually now supporting the development charges that we have and the phases of them. And that is a great accommodation. It's the second time today I can stand and say that we're working better with the folks in the industry to help make sure that we don't get appeals to the Ontario Municipal Board and spend multiple days there going through lengthy hearings, and we're able to resolve those matters through negotiations and reasonableness on both sides. And in this case, when they look to reduce development charges, it actually doesn't come out of their pocket. It does come out of the pocket of the purchaser, which is helpful as well. But I think our staff have done a great job in working through with the industry. I wanted to thank them. I'm glad that folks in the industry and others that had concerns were able to meet with us. And I think that it's a good step forward in an area that we haven't had as much of in the past, and we are having a lot more success at later and being able to resolve things without having to go through tribunals or hearings. And I wanted to thank our staff for their hard work on that. Thank you.
Do we have the motion? Councillor Mihevc.
Yes, we do have an anomaly in the Education Development Charges Act and regulatory framework. And what this does is that it advocates to the province that the public school board, because right now the Catholic school board is allowed to charge development charges, the public board is not, and this will certainly aid in bringing our schools up to a better state of good repair. Granting that it's not our piece, but it is something that school board trustees have asked that we consider being part of their advocacy campaign. So this does not take from us, it just adds to them.
We do have a question for you by Councillor Pasternak.
My understanding of the discrepancy between the public school board and the Catholic school board is occupancy numbers. In other words, because the Catholic school board is over 90% occupied, they are actually eligible to charge development fees, whereas the school board is well below that and they are not. Is that provincial mandate?
That's not my understanding. I think they have an ability to charge that the Catholic board has an ability to charge that the public board does not have.
Correct.
And this actually levels the playing field.
That's correct.
So it has nothing to do with occupancy
No.
figures?
No.
I don't think that's true.
Oh, Councillor Shiner, questions to Councillor Mihevc.
So, Councillor Mihevc, in following up on my colleague's questions, am I correct that prior to amalgamation of all the school boards and of the city, the Catholic school board brought in a development charges bylaw that got approved, and the public school board did not? So the Catholic board was able to continue to receive development charges fees after, because they had a bylaw in place and the public board did not have one, and that's why they still don't have one, and they aren't treated fairly as the other board. Am I correct?
I have a feeling you are correct, and you know you are correct, but I can't go far back in my memory.
Okay.
But I have a feeling you are correct.
So it is a case where the Catholic board has the ability now to place development charges whether or not there's occupancy issues in the area.
Correct.
And the public board, whether or not there's occupancy issues in the area, has no right to implement a development charge or collect anything.
Correct.
So the Catholic board is able to receive funds from every new unit that's built, and the public board is not able to receive anything.
Correct.
Thank you. And you're trying to level the
Correct
playing
that.
field.
Yes. Correct.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Oh boy, this will help.
Councillor Perruzza, question.
Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, clarification of the motion.
In respect to, wanting to level the playing field, do you know what the per pupil transfers are, both for the public and the Catholic, and what the difference is?
I have absolutely no idea.
That's what I thought. And if
I'm not sure how that's actually germane to the point here.
Yeah.
but that's-
Well, germane to the point is that when you're seeking to level the playing field, you're saying, well, you know what, both systems, which are both public, should be getting roughly the same kind of, public fund, or the same kind of funding per pupil. I know what yours says. Okay, but what if you were to be made aware that there's a very large discrepancy between what a public school pupil receives in terms of funding, and a Catholic, yes it is, and a Catholic school. Having said that, forget that.
To
Okay.
be the case.
So forget that. The other thing that I would want to ask you is this. On the development charge side of it, why would you want either board to be able to sort of, go directly to an area where you increase the cost of housing, you potentially drive away construction and the creation of jobs that are all very, very well paid in a jurisdiction, for example, where, intensification is good, as opposed to somewhere out in the 905 where it just eats up more and more farmland. Like, why would you want to make construction activity?
Clarification of the
and-
motion.
Exactly. Well, that's precisely it. So my question to him is, why would you want to make the cost of building a housing unit in Toronto, and I wouldn't say more expensive, but more and more expensive in relation to building a housing unit in the 905? Why would you do that?
I think the principle behind development charges is that if there are additional, well, if you want me to answer, I'll answer. Unless it was a rhetorical question, okay.
I respect your wisdom on some of these things, so, but I could understand why you would support $1.4 billion for a provincial LRT, heavy rail program, but.
Yeah, I know, this is, okay, thank you.
Because its development
That's
charges
it.
are meant to.
We're not asking questions anymore.
To the public realm, to the public good, based on the increase in density.
Okay, thank
When you
you.
have increase in density, you have more students. You have to build more schools. Therefore, developers should participate in the payment thereof.
Okay, Councillor Mahevik, thanks.
That's why.
Councillor Robinson, come on, let's move along here.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, is this actually in order, given that's really not the topic? It's not that I'm against Councillor Mahevik's motion, I'm just I'm not convinced this is in order.
I haven't
this
even
motion.
seen it.
Well, I don't think it's...
No.
I have to look, I have to see it to see if it's in order or not.
It was written by staff.
Clerk's office.
What staff?
Buildings Department, planning, I don't know.
As a good conservative, you should stand firmly against it.
No.
I'm not listening to you.
This is actually consistent with what your residents are saying.
No, I didn't say I'm against it, I'm just questioning whether it's in order. And I'm being amplified, so I'm going to stop talking now.
Okay, Councillor Robinson. Can I see the motion, please? It was kind of rushed through. Councillor Mahevik did not have it ready, so we haven't even had a chance to look at it. And it wasn't the staff's fault, it was Councillor Mahevik.
It's okay, after yesterday, he was on.
Okay, Councillor Lane, do you have a question?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Councillor, are you aware that this motion is entirely consistent with the City of Toronto's current position on this matter?
That's correct, and that's why I put it forward to highlight it, and
you've put it forward just to reinforce the fact that in November we voted on almost the exact same thing and it passed unanimously. Were you aware that every person that's questioned the value of this motion actually voted in favor of it in November?
I wasn't aware of it, but I am now, and I thank you for making me aware of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Robinson. It is in order, it's just requesting the province. Okay. We're ready to vote on the item. I believe we have two motions.
This is a tough crowd.
Okay, Councillor Bylaws motion on the screen. Please, members, can you please take your seats? We're going to vote. It's on the screen. On favor? Recorded.
Councillor Wong-Tam, please. Thank you. Councillor Shiner and McMahon, when you're seated, please.
Councillor Mamalidi, please. Councillor Fragadakis, Councillor Pelian.
Councillor Shiner, please.
The motion carries 32 to 7.
Okay. Next motion. By Councillor Mamalidi. On favor? Recorded vote.
Councillor Perruzza, please. Councillor Bailao, please.
Councillor Ainslie, please can you take your seat? We're in the middle of a vote.
What are we voting on? Oh, the motion carries 22 to 17.
Okay, motion by Councillor Mihevc. On favor? Carried. Recorded vote. Okay, recorded vote.
Councillor Pelian, please. Councillor Burnside.
Councillor Burnside, please. Councillor Burnside.
The item is amended, carries 36 to 3.
Okay. Our next item is on page 4, EX 33.7. That was our timed item. Do we have questions? Councillor Matlow, you held the item down. That's on the lease amendment to the TTC lands at Yonge and Eglinton.
Just before we proceed with the item, may I introduce some people here? We have, as you know, I think members will know, for a long time, since 2006, had a friendship agreement between Quito and Ecuador, and I'm really doing this in the stead of Councillor Palacio, who's not with us today. Quito and Toronto, and it's being renewed this year, that agreement, which has been in place since 2006, and one of the things that it provides for is educational exchanges. And so today, here in the chamber with us, we have the Consul General of Ecuador, Mr. Rolando Vera Rodas, and some 30 students from Ecuador who are enrolled at the U of T. They've all had all-inclusive scholarships from the government of Ecuador to be here at the U of T studying all kinds of things. So may I say welcome. Bienvenido al Cónsul General y a los estudiantes internacionales. Bienvenidos and welcome. Thank you.
So, okay, members of council, on EX 33.7, there's a confidential report as well. Do we need to go in camera on that item? Councillor Matlow, you held the item down. Do we need to go in camera? Councillor Shiner?
No.
No?
I believe my questions can be answered in public.
Okay. All right, so questions, Councillor Shiner.
So if I could, through you, I guess it's to the staff of CREATEO, without going into the numbers, which are in camera items, can you give us a quick public purview of what's in front of us?
Yes, I can. Madam Speaker and Council, this is a lease that exists today with Northam, CT REIT, and Oxford of most of the TTC lands at Yonge and Eglinton. The lease lasts for another 30 to 50 years. There's 3 leases, in fact. They last for another 30 to 50 years. They reserve the right to the leaseholder, that is the 3 tenants, to do any development on there. And there is only one small piece, which is the former bus barns, that is not included in this lease on this block. The time left on the lease is not sufficient for these tenants to reinvest in the property and create anything new. So they have come to us and asked for a request for an extension of lease, and so we have, at the request of council, spent the last 18 months with a committee of working with the TTC, as it's their land, and a committee of planning, city planning, real estate, finance, and others at the city to renegotiate the lease. What you have before you today is a renegotiated lease that extends the lease to 99 years, includes the former bus barns in it, and increases the revenue to the TTC through a redevelopment plan of some $1.5 billion, which the tenants intend to invest to completely to add more office, residential, and retail to the site, and to create a new TTC bus terminal underground right adjacent to the new metro, or to the new Metrolink station and the TTC subway station. Provide additional protections to the TTCs in maintaining their infrastructure, and we work carefully through this process also with a financial advisor, Brookfield, and had an appraisal done by CBRE, which we ensured was the value, which we ensured maintained the value of the property. There are a number of other benefits to this, including affordable housing, a brand new revitalized center, new office, and substantial cash in terms of to the city in terms of DCs, taxes, etc.
Mr. Logie, as well, because it's through CREATO, the concern always is that someone will have the rights to a property and build beyond what is in our official plan or permitted by the city. And I want to know whether in this particular application the lessees will be bound to work within the planning framework that we have in place and or the new Midtown and Focus framework.
Yes, a key feature of this lease, a key addition to this lease is that the tenants cannot appeal a decision of this council. So they have to work within the planning framework to arrive at the best development solution.
Now, I also understand that they were looking for an extension at the end of it because people look for leases on land now that is longer than 99 years. Am I correct that one will be permitted, however, the clock will be reset and they will have to pay at market rates at that time? So in other words, if that's the case, it's like selling the property twice?
That's true. The existing market value of the TTC's land is being recovered in the first term. We'll then be able to recover it again in the second term.
Based on whatever the market might be then?
That's right.
Thank you.
Councillor Mihevc.
Yes, thank you very much. First, let me say, before I ask, I much appreciate wearing my TTC hat, that a lot of good work was done, and it seems to be, it appears to be that we're in a good place for that piece of it. So now, wearing my City Hall hat, the key questions for me are of a planning nature. I guess I'm wondering about our ability to secure affordable housing. And I understand, yeah, your first answer is going to be 10%, but this is a lease for 99 times 2 years, 99 times 2 times, so almost 200 years lease. Is this, given that the affordable housing and inclusionary zoning piece is time limited, or looks like it's going to be time limited, how can we ensure that the 10% of the units stay affordable for the length of the lease? Can we do anything at this point to make that security present?
Through the speaker, as was indicated, this is a commercial transaction that's in front of council. The transaction anticipates a planning application to be filed with the city. We're anticipating that application to be filed sometime in 2019. It has to follow through the city's normal planning process and applicable policies and directions that are in place when they file. We've already been in discussions with the proponent, Oxford Properties, about the nature of emerging policies in Yonge and Eglinton around building complete communities, park space, retail space, rental housing, affordable housing, and other community uses. So all of these issues will be on the table when they file their application. And, next year, council is going to be considering as well its inclusionary zoning practices and policies and zoning. So everything that applies at that time will apply to them, and we'll work with them and go through the process together with the community at that time.
Do you think, okay, I hear you. Do you think that there's anything that we should do at this point while we're doing the commercial transaction to highlight to them that at least some of us, many of us, most of us, I don't know, will be looking to secure affordable housing, not just for any time-limited period, which we might do if it was a private sector development on private land, but this being a public land that we're leasing to them for, granted, a long period of time, that will be part of the ask.
Well, my view would be that what we've negotiated on my reading of it is that this owner of the leasehold interest will be subject to our rules and policies just like any other. So I would proceed on that basis. We've already advanced the issues that are emerging in Yonge and Eglinton with this potential owner, and I would proceed on the basis that staff has recommended in the report.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Mihevc. Next on the speakers list, questions is Councillor Nunziata.
Thank you. So what I'd like to ask is, what sort of consultation meetings have you had with the community, other than going in camera and talking about the in-camera part of it? Have you consulted with the community at all? Because in light of an incident in my ward where you didn't communicate at all with my constituents, what have you done in this case?
We've had numerous discussions with Councillor Matlow, whose ward this is in, and had, I believe, 3 public meetings on the proposed developments, on this proposed development.
So the community was involved and the community is in support?
I think I'll leave that to Councillor Matlow.
I'd just like to supplement through the...
Well, why can't you answer the question? Why can't you answer the question?
I wonder if our
Were you not at the meeting?
One of us was at the meeting. I was at 2 of the meetings, and I did not see any opposition, but there was no vote or anything that I could tell you about.
Just wondering if our chief planner could give a response as well.
Through the Deputy Speaker, the nature of the meetings was to introduce the proponent, the potential proponent, because it still is not a deal until Council says it's a deal, but to introduce the potential proponent to the community, begin to establish a relationship with the community groups that work in Yonge and Eglinton, of which there are many. We had 3 discussions. I attended one myself. And right now, the discussion was just about principles and ideas, nothing specific, because there are no specific plans yet.
So all that discussion with the community was done prior to any negotiations at all?
I think it was concurrent. There were negotiations happening at a staff level and at a Create TO level, and obviously the community were not privy to the details of that. They were talking more about the principles of development and what we should look forward to when and if we do a development on the site.
But the community was aware of who had an interest on the site?
Yes, I believe so.
So they were aware of what was happening?
Yes.
Okay, because that didn't happen in my ward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Nunziata. I have no speakers on the list. I think the item was held by Councillor Matlow.
I have a motion to move. It's truly a technical amendment that just allows for the summary and the actual action items to jive. This is from staff. So to kind of pick up from where Councillor Nunziata left off, when this was first being negotiated under the prior mayor during the last term, it actually almost went off the rails. There were suggestions about building something that doesn't reflect at all what was in the strata agreement, what's in the official plan, and certainly what was consulted on with the community. And I want to give a lot of credit to Bill Brick from Build Toronto, now we call it Create Toronto, along with our current team and our planning department and others, who I think have done a remarkable job of putting the discussion back on track. Respecting, as Councillor Shiner pointed out with his very good questions, respecting the secondary plan, respecting the official plan, respecting the agreements with the Chaplin Estates residents and the Oriole Park Association community, along with discussions with Sarah and other ratepayers associations, community members around the neighborhood. For far too many years, the bus barns have been left as essentially a derelict eyesore. Madam Speaker, I'm having trouble. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. I can't even get the speakers. Madam Speaker. Yeah.
Okay, please, can we have some quiet in the council chambers?
Madam Speaker, I've lost a good 10 seconds as I was...
Okay, Councillor Filion, Councillor Perruzza.
What did Filion do?
Please, I just need Okay, there is the motion on the screen. Councillor Shiner, the motion is on the screen. Okay, Councillor Matlow, continue.
Madam Speaker, for far too long, the bus barns at Yonge and Eglinton have been left as a derelict eyesore. Now, in more recent years, it's transformed into a far better purpose. It's being used as a staging area for the Metrolinx LRT project. But in the next few years, there's going to be a change there. And I think it's incredibly responsible and important that we're proactively working with partners to ensure that we don't just struggle to figure out a plan once the LRT project is done, but that there is in fact a plan there to move forward with revitalizing that corner of Yonge and Eglinton with the kind of development that is appropriate for the site and respects our official plan. That's the direction that we're going in. What the motion today does and what the staff recommendations today do is move us forward with the framework to be able to do that, where you put all the parcels of land, you unpack all those different wires in the box, and you put it all together so we can move forward with the plan. I'm happy to say as well that Oxford and all partners have agreed that along with being respectful of the official plan, that a remarkable public realm, as I've been advocating for years, along with the community, will be part of this plan. So at the corner of Yonge and Eglinton, there will be a remarkable public space. You look at Rome, you look at London, you look at Paris, you look at New York, you look at great cities around the world. They've done amazing work where there have been mobility hubs, where there have been transit hubs, with having not just sort of concrete spaces, but really special public realm for people to congregate in, or local employees to come and have lunch at, a destination for people to arrive at. That's what we're going to do at Yonge and Eglinton. This is the heart of Midtown, and we want to do something special. I'll also add that this has been a consultative process, that the community has been engaged in meetings and discussions with Oxford and other partners, and as we move forward, getting closer to the pre-app stage, Oxford is committed to sharing more and more information to ensure that the public is on board and we all are in concurrence with the direction that we're going. Lastly, I'd like to just add that this is, I think, something important to the entire city, because this is, I think, an important way to plan with the community, with the development partners, and with the city in a way that isn't in conflict, but actually goes step by step together to build something that provides community benefits, that has respectful development, that will be unappealable, and will increase the public realm and the standard of public realm in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell to speak.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. I normally don't speak on items like this, but I just want to echo Councillor Matlow's comments. This was reviewed by the TTC Commission, and it was wholeheartedly endorsed by the TTC Commission. In addition to the public realm benefits, this will provide and secure over 600 jobs from Canadian Tire that is presently there. It will secure more than that and provide for office space for thousands of jobs for the future. Had we not undertaken this deal, some of those jobs would have been at risk and of leaving the City of Toronto. So I just want to talk a little bit about that. This is a huge development. The buildings there are quite old. They're in the 30 to 40 year range. And had we not done this deal and extended this and made this leasing arrangement, redevelopment simply would not have occurred. I would have been happy if the coffers of the city would have been buoyed more than they will be, than we will receive, but nonetheless, in terms of saving jobs and building out important buildings in a very important part of the city, and in addition to providing the TTC with flexibility in the future, a very important transit connection in the future in terms of buses and getting to and out of the subway and the crosstown. The TTC has assurances that for the future, they're definitely involved and they're an active participant in this development for the years to come. And they have secured those assurances that whatever needs to be done to make it a seamless entry in and out for the TTC will carry on. So thanks to Create TO and our real estate department, as well as to the staff of the TTC for getting this a job well done.
Do we have any more speakers on this item? Okay, so are we done? Do we want to just vote on where's Councillor Matlow's motion? I'm sorry, Councillor Shiner?
I just want to read the motion that I'm voting on. I don't even need it circulated, but it goes up on the screen and comes down again. So I can't vote on it unless I can read it.
Okay, let's hold the item down.
We don't have to. If you put it up on the screen, then we could all read it, and then we could vote upon it.
Okay, then read it.
Thank you.
You don't think so?
Nomination papers.
The next one, camera. We do ombudsman.
I live in my work. Even in the bond we changed this to live in my work.
The ordinance report on that.
Josh just explained it for 5 minutes. Just explained all of it.
Thank you. I have read it. If my colleagues have, I'm fine to vote.
So are you okay?
Yes. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to read the motion.
Okay. So on the motion, on favor, carried. Item is amended, on favor. Yeah, there was a recorded vote.
When was that? This morning.
Councillor Kelly, we're going to need your vote, please. Councillor DiGiorgio, thank you. Councillor Thompson, please. Councillor Thompson. We opened the vote late, members, so we...
Okay, Councillor Mammoliti, please. Councillor Troisi, please.
The item is amended, carries 35-1.
CC, so we're going to item CC 39.10, which is the Toronto Parking Authority. Do we need to go in camera? Yes. Okay, motion to go in camera. Councillor Campbell. Can you read it, please?
Oh, there we go. The City Council resets its public session to meet as Committee of the Whole in closed session to consider CC 39.10, actions taken to date arising from Council's decision respecting the Auditor General's investigation into a certain land transaction. Reason for confidential information, personal matters about identifiable persons, including municipal or local board employees.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. We'll have a 10-minute break. We'll vacate the council chambers.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm going to go get a coffee.
Okay, members, we'll recess to... Oh, right. Okay, City Council has not completed its closed session consideration of item CC 39.10, headed actions taken to date arising from Council's decision respecting the Auditor General's investigation into a certain land transaction. I will seek a motion to return to closed session when we reconvene in public after the dinner break. Recess to 6:30.